10.
Warning. I'm gonna say this like 10 more times, so I don't want to hear no flack about it. Warning. This recording is a complete spoiler. That means like tell it, it's it like
if you haven't
break
seen the
news,
movie, stay the fuck away from this damn video.
This is a spoiler review for Avengers Endgame. Again, warning, this is a spoiler Endgame. This is a spoiler review for Avengers Endgame.
Joint operation.
And also this is a collaboration show. So me, Nigeria, I'm from the Big Gold Belt podcast. I got Sam from JVS. What's going on, dude?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Thanks for having me.
And also we got my man Chris from the Three Black Geeks.
What's up?
And today our life has changed because we just went to the press screening for Avengers Endgame. And man, I gotta say, first of all, make sure you check all of our
spoiler
free. We have each of us have individual ones.
Quick 10 minutes.
One.
The quickest 10 minutes you will ever see per show. Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of us are running the same runtime on our spoiler free because I learned. You know what? I will give Nigel this, and I want to thank him for that. I'm starting to realize keeping our reviews short and sweet to like that 10-20 minute mark is perfect for reviews because I've noticed that we linger a lot when we do our reviews, and it's like, okay, we gotta keep that shit short because we can linger all day and it goes into spoilers. So when me and Aris did our review, we kept it short and sweet because both of us were on the same page. Like, you can't like we're spoiling it to right now, but you gotta understand, guys. Like, we're spoiling it because the spoiler free is literally, well, what about Tony? Can't talk about that. What about well, what about? Yeah, you cannot spoil it at all. It's hard because everybody had something that spoils the movie as a whole. Like,
yes. The non-spoiler was definitely a struggle. I emphasized a lot on mine, and even on our collaborative one, it's like pretty much throw all my notes away because didn't realize like it's notes to remember what happened. But God, spoiler. So again, I just want to read. Yeah. I just want to make sure I make it very clear that this is a spoiler review. So get ready. We're ready to get into it. We got a lot of feelings, a lot of ideas, a lot of theories, a lot of ball busting from the internet. So
is it possible I could start this off with like kind of like the bombshell here because that's going to blow people's minds? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody saw the Black Widow is going to be part of Phase 4, right? I think we saw that, right?
Oh man.
Where are you going?
No. I'm kicking the door, waving the 4-4. Okay. And I'm literally just okay. So we saw. Black Widow movie is coming out, right? We saw that, right?
Yeah.
So, spoilers. Black Widow meets her untimely death, and I'm not gonna tell you how, but I'm just saying she met an untimely death, and you're probably saying to yourself, "Well, how's she gonna have a movie?" Now, I read comic books. I think y'all read the comic books too, and I told them this. So there in the comics have been 2 other Black Widows. You have this Russian, I think Yelena, I forgot her last name. She's the Russian Black Widow. She kind of took over when Natasha defected to the Avengers. So she's basically Russia's Black Widow. Then in the Ultimate Universe, you have Monica Chang, who was Black Widow, who was Nick Fury's wife in the Ultimate Comics. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with the Black Widow, but I agree with Najir. Don't do Red Sparrow all over again. We don't need that shit again.
Yeah,
we don't need that. Don't do no origin. Just like Yelena, you can allude that she was also with Natasha during the Red Room thing, but that's it. Don't do any origin. Just throw them in there knee deep.
Yep.
That's my theory. What could happen with the movie? So I don't know what they're gonna do.
So I feel like okay. We're gonna okay. Are we really not gonna leave this boulder unturned? Like, because I mean, the context behind her death is very pivotal.
That's why this spoiler circles. That's it. She just meets an untimely death.
Okay. So I'm saying, Najee, can we go in this? I mean, are we gonna stop this?
No. Let's put some continuity there so we can keep this timely.
All right.
Again, let's start from the beginning here. The beginning of the movie starts off obviously where the end of Captain Marvel begun. Captain Marvel joins the team. Now, first thing I have in this is that Captain Marvel becomes a complete focal point in the beginning of this movie. That you see what I chewed out about the Captain Marvel movie in my reviews about how Brie Larson wasn't used to her full potential, how Carol Danvers, the character, wasn't quite on par with a lot of the comic origins, and the casting didn't make sense, and it felt a little bit like lackluster, maybe rushed, whatever it may be. Nonetheless, Captain Marvel jumps in right into action and completely becomes a part of the team, becomes the focal point. And I think it's one of those type of things where we saw that character in better hands, better utilized, as far as knowledge. Her looks was up to date, everything about it. And immediately they come with a plan, and you see how her being part of the team automatically puts the Avengers at a vantage point. Mm-hmm. And after that's done, 5-year time jump.
And that threw me off. I was like, "Oh, that's what we're doing." Okay, well,
So that's I think this is a good point. 5-year time jump. We know Captain Marvel joined the team. We know that they said he wanted to put a plan about taking care of Thanos. Some things happened. 5-year time jump. Yeah. Oh, also too. I gotta give Chris his props. Before this 5-year time jump, you could have left the movie because the movie ended.
Oh, bro, I was fucking dying. I was like, it was like credits. I was like, well, credits. I guess that's a wrap, guys. Let's go. Yeah. All right, cool.
They had a job. They did the job. Credits.
it legit ended, and everybody was like in the theater, just like,
what?
Wait, what? And I think the thing about it, like the way that it ended, it also made you feel like, dang, like defeat all over again kind of feeling. So yeah, I like the way that they did that, because one of the things about the end of Infinity War is like, okay, if everything gets overturned, like there's no real stakes here. Like, no, we're gonna make you feel this. Every single character is gonna have to deal with the ramifications, the fallout, and we all have to live with it. And on top of that 5-year jump, they don't subvert that. Like, that stays. That 5 years happened no matter what. And I thought that was one of the biggest things, that by the end of the movie, this did happen. It wasn't like a renege, because that was one of the things I was worried about. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
keep it going.
I mean, can we talk about? Well, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. Just to put it, I mean, that's well said. Again, they had a plan. Captain Marvel was the advantage they need to execute the plan. Ended the movie, as far as I was concerned, but 5-year time jump. And moving forth to that is where you did get to see the tone of people having to come to the realization that Thanos' plan in making peace also came with forms of mental health issues, where you saw depression, you saw anxiety, you saw real world stuff, and Cap replaced Falcon in his typical AA meetings, which you would have never thought, being that he was the figure of America, so to say, and the leader of the Avengers, that he was doing.
Well, it's a callback to Winter Soldier, because you remember Falcon was talking, and he was like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of options." But he clearly saw what Falcon was doing with those soldiers, and that kind of like put him in that headspace. Like, you can actually see Falcon, like Cap, doing something like that, and he does, and it's actually really great. That whole scene was. Yeah, it's interesting, because I was expecting Tony to be in that group too, but he wasn't, and it was really Cap leading it. But they also did a good job of showing how the world is impacted, because Cap drops a line of, "Hey, there's no pollution in the Hudson. I saw 2 humpback whales in the Hudson."
Yep. And again, like at a point you start to question, was Thanos absolutely right? Because there was peace, there was pollution free. You still saw how people suffered from the different aspects of the team, lacking their purpose, and others trying to deal with the loss. And 5 years is still a long time to be grieving. And you see how society comes together, as when Scott Lang returns, he visits a memorial and see tons of people walking around looking, paying homage to the people that they lost, and it became a tourist attraction because people were just there around, and while some people are just taking pictures or whatever it may be, he's looking at like, oh my God, what happened? He was in the quantum realm. He missed out on everything. He comes back and again, like he's coping with the situation. Like, hey, what happened here? Like I don't know. 5 minutes of my life was gone.
Yeah.
Where 5 years had passed. So key point there. You guys jump in there.
That moment right there when he left, when he got that realization, he immediately jumped to his daughter because he knew, the original Hank Pym was dead. He knew his wife was dead, and he knew that, Liv was dead. But he was like, my daughter. He ran to the door and he knocked on the door, and then she just kind of comes to the door. I felt like that moment was one of the best acted moments that Paul Rudd had done, and I felt it. The weight of it immediately hit me, and there's so many different moments like that goes throughout this entire film with different key opportune moments that the Russos are able to do. But that one specifically, it kind of hit me because I was like, dang, man, like the weight of everything that happened just flooded. And the other thing about that is that, he no longer has like a little daughter. Like he has, a grown adult woman at this point. And it's kind of just like, dang, like no matter what, he lost that time with his daughter. Even though he wasn't dead, he lost 5 years of his life with her. You know what I'm saying? It's even worse than him going to prison. Like he didn't have a choice with it. And then from there, like progressively, he goes back to the camp. And like, I think that they were all really kind of jaded because Scarlett Johansson, she had a really good acted moment as well. She was talking with the group. Everybody has already kind of like went their own separate ways. Captain Marvel's got her different haircut. Everybody else is kind of like in their own areas. I think Okoye was talking about, man, I don't want to talk about that. Never mind, I ain't gonna say that. Yeah, because that's something we gotta talk about later.
That's a possible spoiler in theory.
That is a huge spoiler.
Spoilers, yeah. So if it's not too much,
we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it a little bit later. I don't want to divert too much. Yeah. But either way, she kind of like ends the call with Rhodey being like, you okay? And he's like, man, I think I know where Ronan is, and like we need to get to him, but I don't know if he wants to be found. I don't know if I want to see this. And she was like, just do it. And then she just like starts to break down within herself. And you don't see Natasha do that. You've never seen Natasha legit break down.
She's programmed not to show emotions. That's always been to her. So that again, it's just, you see how people are coping with the situation, the lack of work, the lack of purpose, the grieving. It's real life. These larger than life people are becoming humans in this.
Well, I mean, it's like go to Sam's point. It means because I've Sam gave me props for this. I went on like basically a 22 movie like kind of marathon at home watching these movies. And one of the things I noticed is like whenever you get movies where the father is like divorced and kind of like, the separating and stuff, there's always like the kid is kind of reluctant to be around the father. But what I thought was cool was that Cassie from jump, when you see her in Ant-Man when Scott gets out of jail, he still has a very good, healthy relationship with his daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made, when he sees her 5 years later growing up, it's, he was able to get over the fact that he missed 5 years with her, but he's able to still kind of pick up and continue having that relationship with her.
Yeah.
And if any other movie did that, you would have been like, oh, we had to do this one movie where she's reluctant to be friends with her dad. But like he's been cool with her from jump. So he's able to kind of segue into that relationship. And it's also, too, when you look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, he has a good relationship with the new husband and his ex-wife. So, all that worked out for Scott in the grand scheme. It's really Widow that gets the, like you said, gets the brunt end of the emotion aspect of it because everything that she thought she knew, Thanos just killed it right there and there with that snap. Like,
wait, hold up! I just thought about something. When was Peter in high school? What year was Homecoming?
It was a sophomore, I believe. Might have been freshman. It might have been either freshman, sophomore, somewhere around there.
I'm gonna come back to that. You, AJ, I know you know what I'm talking about. That right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, we'll get back to that. I just totally messed me up just thinking about that.
So I just want to make a quick point. Spoiler review, obviously, but I want to make a quick point because I don't think you guys made enough emphasis that Scott Lang was gone, as he said, 5 minutes, but he lapsed for he was missing for 5 years.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 5 hours, and he said he was gone for 5 years. And this metric of time is consistent, sort of say, in this entire movie. So again, I mean, a lot of people moved on. Some people were lucky to lose nobody. Tony was uninterested in anything superhero wise. He has his family. He has Pepper. He has his daughter.
If let's be real about this, after the first 15 minutes when that happened, seeing Tony describe being out in space, and shout out to them doing a good job of showing Tony's body. Like his body was like jacked. He was like his body, like if you didn't notice that, it deteriorated because he's out in space. That's why he was on that IV. And I like that they showed that. Like it was like, oh yeah, he ain't the same Tony. Like he was out of his mind. Everything about him. Like, did you not notice that? Is that why you're saying why?
No. I'm glad you brought that up.
I got a point for you guys since you didn't even notice that. You talking about kicking down the door. Tony Stark begun the movie and ended the movie the same exact way. The same exact way of complete exhaustion, rest, and unwilling to go further. And he had the moment where in the beginning where he talks to Pepper. He has the moment at the end where he talks to Pepper, and it's like he served his purpose and she gave him his blessing. It's great writing. He began the movie the same way he ended it, and I think that was real cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That point that out because that's why I like the continuity. And I mean, this is not really jumping ahead. They definitely are alluding to Young Avengers. I'm just gonna leave that out there.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah.
So.
They definitely are. And I mean, just real quick, that moment that Robert Downey Jr. when they're talking about the strategy of going and getting Thanos, and he just started to dig into Cap just out of like
Age of Ultron
emotion. Like it was like he looked emotionless, but all the emotion was pouring out. And I think that was one of Robert Downey Jr.'s best performances, like for real. Like it all came out, and the way he looked was just so haggard. He was just spent. Like he legit took his plate out and just like go put it on Thanos and figure that out. And he just collapsed. I thought that was such a great moment.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just. I mean, and like you said, the reference to Age of Ultron when he told the guys, "Yo, I saw this coming. I had the robots, and you didn't want me to do the robots."
Yeah.
Like in his head, he felt if he had Ultron there, this could have prevented it. Which again, watching those movies. Side note: I have a theory that Ultron kind of predicted this shit with Thanos was going to happen.
Really?
I think he was. I felt, in my opinion. I felt Ultron felt that the things that he was doing was preparing humankind for Thanos' arrival, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But because of all the circumstances that the Avengers were doing to kind of undermine it, it kind of sped things up, and he ended up kind of going off rails with his plan, essentially.
Yeah.
So that was my theory. So it's like when I watched what Tony was saying about the Cap about, yo, I have robots. This could have happened. It's like, oh. I mean, he's right a little bit. Could have had it,
I mean, technically, everything in that vision technically did come true in some capacity.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Minus Cap.
Yeah. I mean, and even after the 5 years, I mean, like I said, you have Natasha. They got that whole little World Council. The governments. They kind of allude to the governments, kind of like. They're thin, but they're piecing together, and she's kind of holding it together emotionally and stuff. It's like, yeah, she hasn't been sleeping much essentially.
Yeah. So let's move forward just a little bit. So yeah, we started about the state of where everybody's been at. Obviously, with loss came different mindsets and a lack of purpose with people. Ronan or Hawkeye lost his family, turned him completely badass to Mexico. Went to go went to go size some things up. He had no clue about this Thanos thing, so he's just taking it out on whoever's available. And even Hakuza in Tokyo was just like, why? What did we do? And he wasn't taking no for an answer. Scott Lang is completely in love with Captain America this entire movie, and it's so many comedic points when you see the two of them, or just Scott and himself. One thing I bumped Chris at about this movie is that when you talked about the people who were lost in the snap in Infinity War, I always wonder why it was the certain people there was. And I noticed in this movie, all of the smartest people were taken away because, and it's significant because of the fact of without their intelligence, really devastated the group in the lack of innovation to come up with a plan. Scott, who reputation doesn't really say I'm the smartest guy, but he lived the story to tell about that sparked the minds of the available Avengers. Of course, Tony wasn't so thrilled about leaving his happy family that he has right now. Yeah. But when Scott came back and he had this idea, it started making the gears turn. Bruce is the new Bruce, should we say? No, we're gonna call him Men's Warehouse Bruce because he's just off his new swag right now. Like he wasn't even about that, and even him had no interest in really masterminding this plan and quantum physics, something he's always been very adamant about. So, you see how the lack of intelligence from the people who was snapped and Shuri and all of them, how that really played a part in this movie here. Another thing too I wrote down in my notes is that Hulk and Ant-Man together is literally the movie that we didn't know that we wanted. Them two together are absolutely hilarious. I mean, Ant-Man himself was just absolutely just hilarious. So
I mean, if we're going to go into Bruce real quick, I know Sam we were talking offline and he mentioned the whole aspect that he felt like with Bruce and Hulk, there wasn't that moment for him. But I think and I like the line that Bruce said was like, he kept treating the Hulk like a disease. Yeah. And he felt like, yo, how about I just get my brains with the Hulk's brawn?
Yeah.
Now, I think that was a good evolution for the character. At most, if I'm nitpicking, I could say it would have been nice to see the Hulk be able to cut loose for a moment at least. But we didn't get it. It is what it is, unfortunately. Now, maybe once they finally figure out their whole deal with Universal, maybe we might get the full-blown Hulk and She-Hulk and all that stuff. But for what we got, I think it worked because, like I said, even Banner Hulk served a purpose. He did his thing and it worked. It's like it hit that line just enough that you can nitpick it, but you're not mad at it. It's like, all right, it works fine. Mm-hmm. You can't really complain too much about it, other than what you wish that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing for me when it came to that, and I mean, I've just been a fan of the Hulk for so long, and I really just wanted to see him legitimately get angry, because everybody had their way of coping, like depression, anxiety, gluttony, whatever you want to call it. Everybody had their moment, but nobody had that emotional outburst of rage. They handled it on the battlefield, absolutely. But out of everybody, if it was me, if I was Bruce Banner, I know I'm the strongest Avenger, technically. I would have this moment. If I saw Thanos, I would just want to get this man. I wanted to tear his head off. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted that moment for once, but it was kind of just like he had to get sidelined because he had to make another sacrifice. He had to go and do this in order to preserve life, which it works for the continuity of the story. Yeah. But I still wanted to see it. You know what I'm saying? The comic book lover in me really wanted to finally see him. Because if they never use the Hulk again, I would feel like, man, I never got that. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say they're not. Universal could easily give them more weight to go and do stuff. But out of 11 years, I haven't really seen him go all out like I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So that was really it. That was really it. But I did love what Mark Ruffalo did with this one. It's just gonna be interesting to see because I don't know how his healing factor works in the long term. In this continuity of the MCU, anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you got that. White Talk Scott. Rocket Raccoon was great because I like his interactions with the Avengers in the sense of what he brought to the table, because it's like the characters. Tony sees Rocket Raccoon, his initial reaction was, "Huh, Rocket Raccoon," and then it's like immediately it's just okay, he's over it, you know.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot in space, man. He's just exhausted, you know. And he said, "Wait, I thought you was a Build-A-Bear." Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and I mean, and then Scott, when he's chilling eating his tacos, and he sees Rocket and he sees Nebula, and he's like, okay, I guess that's a thing, and he sees it and he's over it because he's like, you know what, I had a long day, fine, whatever, this is just what it is and stuff, and I like that it's a normal thing now. Rocket Raccoon is normal. It's the new normal for everybody, at least the ones that have been around him for the most part.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out too. I said this in a non-spoiler review, and I would love to hear you guys elaborate it. Throughout all the movies we had of the 11 years, a lot of characters that we may have forgot about, wonder what they were doing, wonder will we see them again. We have an opportunity. This movie gave an opportunity to bring those people back in some capacity. And I thought another good point was when, and everybody, two characters, I can't even think of their name right now, but two characters that everyone really loved out of Thor Ragnarok return.
Meek and
Korg.
Yeah. Upon hanging out with Thor in New Asgard. And of course, as you could probably guess, them just hanging out, having fun. They're playing Fortnite like any millennial would have done.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that was a nice touch because, as Odin told him in Thor Ragnarok, Asgard could be anywhere, and he made his home in Norway. That's where Asgard is now, And I thought that was actually a good touch and stuff. And this movie did a great job of kind of like, you can tell that since they already said they were going to do big things with Valkyrie is going to be the new Thor for Asgard now, essentially. The movie didn't outright say it, to be fair, but she's going to be the one leading Asgard now because she was leading things while Thor was in his he was going through a lot of emotions throughout this whole movie, understandably so.
Yeah.
And even with the comedic effect of them showing what happened to Thor, beneath all the comedy, much like with Ragnarok, there was some pain behind Thor because he felt like I could have did more, and everybody's like, "Oh, you did what you had to do. Like, what else could you do?"
And even with him having the statue of what he had and completing the mission, you see how grief plays a toll. And he was the one. Gosh, I say it.
Sure.
Yes, this is spoiler.
He was the one that put the axe to Thanos. He messed up in Infinity War. He came and got the job done in the beginning of this movie, and it still left him like bitter inside to the point he couldn't even hear his name. He fell off. This guy just out playing video games, drinking beer. He done got at the Asgardians. They got a new home. He's done everything he's supposed to do, and he still suffers. So again, you just see the post-traumatic results basically for everybody involved with how devastated they were from this event. And it's even as funny, and as much as we love Thor's character in this movie, you still see how the grief plays a part.
Because you're talking about a guy who he got the Stormbreaker, and we saw that big moment in Infinity War. He's like, "Give me Thanos, I'm going for him." And then Thanos literally tell him, "You should have gone for the head," and that fucked with him. That line by itself fucked with Thor. Even at the beginning of the movie, and even going into this, that fucked with his head the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. Because even in Infinity War, like he already has said to, I think he was talking to, not the Nebula, I think he was talking to Gamora and he's talking to the Avengers and Rocket, how he had just lost everything. He doesn't have anything left. Like he lost his brother, lost Hamdell, lost his whole entire kingdom. He didn't know who was still alive, and it was like the one thing he needed to do left to give himself peace. He didn't even do that, and it was like even when he did it in this one, it was kind of like it was for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so it just left him dead inside. The other thing I'd say about that is a lot of people felt like, you know, all right, this character's going to come back. This character's going to come back. This character's not dead. No, Loki is gone. No, Heimdall.
I got theories, but okay.
Yeah, so you can't really say that because Loki also has a show coming out. So,
but when you see what happens in this movie, when we get to it, it's like, oh, I see why. Okay,
yeah,
exactly. But it's still though. It's like
this thing is still there though.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, Loki is dead. At the end of the day, Heimdall is dead. At the end of the day, Gamora is technically dead.
Warriors 3 is dead. Like his best friends are like dead.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I like that aspect because that means that the Russos didn't renege. Like, it could have been easily like, all right, let's just go back in time and just change this. Like, no, they give you something very pivotal about time travel in this one that subverts all expectation. That's what really messes with everybody. And I think everybody's going to feel it, is that even if you wanted to try to change things, you couldn't. And I think that's the thing that really plays the weight and the gravitas between everything from the point that the movie starts to the point the movie ends. Like, you can't change the past. Like, you can only progress forward.
Yeah, but, and that's actually a good segue because that kind of goes into their plan. So,
well, yeah, I was literally about to. Yeah, I was about to say to accelerate to a point real quick. Let me just go over the plans real quick in the note. So obviously they had to come with a plan with how they were going to fix things. Hank Pym, Scott Lang being in the quantum realm, it sparked thoughts. Tony came up with that idea, so they came up with these quantum realm GPSs that was able to have them go into the quantum realm and navigate to a certain period of time. So after that, they said that we can go back to the stones at the times that we knew where they were at, go back there and get them now, come back to the present time and proceed to do the snap to bring people back. So they went to Asgard in 2013, New York in 2012, where 3 stones were actually there at one time.
Ooh,
and then they went to Morag and how do I say it?
They went back to 2013 for Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Yeah, it was Morag and what's the place where the Soul Stones at? I didn't write it down. Vormir. Yeah, so they went there in 2014. So they collected all the stones. They had a little mishap, so they had to go back to New Jersey, 1970, to go get the Space Stone, which had some really good moments in itself. Then, where you know, again, that's why the movie came full circle. Tony got to go see his dad, and he got to get a lot of that grief that he had out of him. Cap got to go see got to see Peggy one more time. And you know, we got to see a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, so they had a plan. So go ahead, Chris.
All right, so here's where they subvert time travel. So like Sam said, you know, War Machine literally off the break was like, why don't we just go to Thanos when he's 5 years old and he does the whole killing them, and everybody's like, dude, that's harsh. But then Banner's like, well, that's not how time works. Like he was like, what do you mean? Back to the Future, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. Like you can't go back in time and change it. The only thing you're gonna do is just splinter it off into a different time thing. It's not gonna change this. And it kind of follows Dragon Ball Z logic of time travel. If you really think about it, because you remember Future Trunks went back in time, gave it to Goku, and when he came back from the future, he's like, nothing changed. What the hell? That's what this movie does. That's actually how time travel should be. It's like nothing you do in the past is going to change in the future. Actually, it's the future's going to be there. It's just going to splinter off. So what they did was one of the key aspects of it, and this is why I was nudging Najir. They did a lot of background on the MCU in the past and stuff. Like when you look at the Battle of New York, you always wondered, hey, how did the Ancient One of them know about the Avengers? Oh, her and Wong were actually fighting off the Chitauri where the Sanctum Sanctorum was.
And to the point too, where you talk about logic, they always said that that wasn't their fight. Their fight was always to protect the mystic arts. So although they were there and they were involved and they were right on the battleground, they picked their spot where they said this is what we are supposed to, and even Wong stayed consistent to that, because in Infinity War, I was like, yo, he just dipped out. But again,
no, we protect magic. This is not our fight. And I thought that was dope, because it was always, that's when, Natasha was like, well, hold on though, isn't it 3? Because the Sanctum Sanctorum, whoever's like the new Doctor Strange, it's there, and they were like, and even for me, I was like, shit, she's right. God damn it, she's right. Like I totally forgot the Ancient One was at that thing. So it's like it provides that whole aspect, even to the point that the Ancient One, she's telling Banner, hey, so your theory is right, but if you take the Infinity Stone from here, how are you going to return it back? Because you have to return the Infinity Stone back, or else time is going to splinter off, and you're not going to get to the future that you're going to go to.
And to put a lot of emphasis on that, everybody's theories about how time travel works does not apply to this movie. What only matters is what the Ancient One explains.
Oh yeah,
and obviously now that we have a perspective of that, we can actually speak to the fact of how time travel works in the MCU.
And it also makes, when you go back to watch Doctor Strange, now you know why she was so interested in Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just some like, oh, he's just like this person. It's like, no, she had that interaction and she figured it out. Because she, again, even though she was dabbling in those arts, I guess having that Aya Agamotto, the Time Stone, she kind of saw certain things. So, yeah, she saw that. And even to the point that when Banner tells her, hey, Stephen gave that shit to Thanos. And now she's like, but he was supposed to be the best of us.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's questioning whether it was Strange the right one. Now, clearly, he's still Doctor Strange when we get to the present, but that kind of made her wonder, why would Stephen do that?
Yeah. I think that's going to be the biggest segue that we're going to talk about, probably last more than anything. But the biggest thing about that is she realized, okay, if he said that, he did that, and he knows full well that this time stone cannot be used for anything outside it, then there is a sacrificial lamb there. And I thought that the fact that looking at her eyes made me kind of like re-prepare myself, like, okay, we're going to go to this callback when he said to, what's his name? Peter, and he talked to Tony, I would gladly do this than to let anything happen to this stone. And I guess we'll get back to that later, because it's going to pay out pretty well.
Oh, yeah. So you get to New York. As Nigel said, that whole thing with Tony talking to his dad was really good, because you get a little bit more. It kind of felt like it was piggybacking off of that video Tony's dad sent him in Iron Man 2. And he got a little bit more context into his dad now. Now he's like, oh, my dad did his best, just like anything else.
And remember, he's always had that sort of like resentment towards him, even in Civil War, where he just but for him to have the moment with his dad and the words that they exchanged and how things were going to be okay. I mean, Tony Stark's complete arc in this movie, yet alone the entire MCU right now, is a beautiful sympathy.
Because he has a different perspective of his dad now. Now it's like, oh, okay. Now.
And you know what's crazy about this? I don't have kids, but I hear this all the time. But when you have kids, man, your life changed. And Tony was the most selfless person this entire movie, when he has a reputation of being the most selfish person of all time. And he made peace with his dad. He made peace with Pepper. He made peace with his daughter. He made peace with Cap. I mean, just everything that involved. And I mean, I really think like the dad moment was just one of the ones where you just did not know you were going to get.
That hit you in
how
the
it was going to play out. Oh, for sure. That's for sure.
That hit you in the feels. The Battle of New York thing though, because so there's an Easter egg also when they're back in 1970s with Hank Pym. We get the old school Ant-Man helmet from the comics, which again I thought was a nice little touch. But also Cap has a moment where he's looking at Peggy, and again, I think you said it too, Najir, and the fact that Agent Carter really kind of opened up that character and that world. Yep. So when Cap sees her in the 70s, it's like you have a full picture of, oh, that's who she is, and Cap misses that, like, I want a family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, I was going to say too, is that I think you kind of said it, Chris, but I guess I'll just say it again really quick.
Yeah.
This movie was like the behind the scenes of every other movie. We got these vantage points that we didn't even know that could be possible, and it connected so much. It made it so cool.
The Battle of New York.
I will say the Battle of New York. If there's a Battle of New York, like I'm about to say DLC. If there's a Battle of New York behind the scenes extra that they put out for the Avengers movie, I will buy it because it just was so much interesting things that it was so cool that you didn't even know.
Because they showed it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They showed some of the stuff in Battle of New York. And then like you kind of this movie actually showed, and I think we all kind of piece it together in our head, but this movie showed it more. When you see the fucking strike team from Insight taking the fucking scepter, you're like, oh shit, that's how they gave it to Strucker.
Yeah.
And then when you see Pierce come down and go for the Tesseract, which clearly he doesn't, because at the end of Avengers, Loki and Thor take it back to Asgard, then you're kind of understanding, oh, okay, like Pierce really was trying to go after Loki and question them on some stuff, which makes you wonder, would they have tried to get Loki and the Hydra if they interrogated him?
Or would Loki have been a subject of testing?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, and also we got more Loki stuff coming up because Disney Plus is going to make a lot of things interesting.
He disappears with the Tesseract, which is why they go back to the 1970s. Which I'm like, okay, so yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle now.
So I gotta say too, like talking about this Battle of New York and the plan. There's a huge gap in my notes here, and I realized because this is when the action played the part because I stopped writing. I'm like, wait, I gotta be missing something here. So yeah, go ahead until we get to the last phase of the movie.
So my question is, when it comes to like these wrinkles, like for instance with Loki and him leaving with the Tesseract, so that's his own storyline. That's his own. I'm asking. I'm getting y'all. I'm picking y'all's brain. With Loki taking the Tesseract, is he gonna take it to Thanos? Is he gonna go and do something else to manipulate it for himself? Like, what? This is a whole different arc. Now, it doesn't play any role with our timeline, the mainstream timeline that already happened, but this learns its own timeline.
No, you can't.
I'm curious.
You can't say that because. Remember, the H1 says there's only one timeline. The only way that there's different timelines is if the stones were not put back into place where they were originally done. The stones are the almighty of time and of the timeline. So that's why that seems so important because you see that yellow stream. It says this is the timeline. But if you remove this, then this happens. But if you put it back, then none of that happens. So,
but it was two different Tesseracts though. Like there was one in 1970, and then there was the one in 2012. The one in 2012, Loki he went and took it somewhere else. The one that's in 1970, that's his own Tesseract. Those are two different points in time. That's why I'm asking. Because if you got one point in time here, you got another point in time. They just went. They knew they needed to get the stone. But there was only one. They effed that one up. And then they brought the other one back to 1970. That's why Steve ended up probably the last stone he took back. But the original one in 2012 went somewhere completely different. That's why I said that's a wrinkle. And I'm like, well, that's why I was asking.
My impression is that no matter what happens in the past, the future absolutely plays out the same way.
I mean, wherever Loki did, I mean, it's pretty much whatever Loki did when he disappeared with Tesseract. Clearly, it didn't affect the present.
Or it will not affect the present.
It won't affect the present. So at some point in time, they must have got the Tesseract from Loki somehow, or Loki lost it somehow.
Yeah, so, and I hope people don't get on the timeline theories because that's what messed up the Fox X-Men thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, you know. I mean, that's what it is. It's like it doesn't affect the present, so I think that's why that Loki TV show is going to be good because now you're like, hey, what's the Avengers of Loki with the Tesseract now? What's he been doing? Where is he going to go? And, you know, and let's be real about this too. When we get with Nebula and War Machine, that's where the wrinkle comes in and kind of kicks off going into that third act because
oh yeah, that's a whole nother one.
Thanos figures out some shit because I don't think they play. See, okay, and this is something that you see in a lot of time travel movies in the aspect that when you have two people in the same kind of time zone, something affects one that affects the other, and I don't think they factored in that Nebula's mechanics was going to fuck up the Nebula in that timelines thing. So now Thanos is like, well, hold on though, what's going on here? Who's this guy? You know, and then we see Gamora there now, and that adds another wrinkle to this whole thing.
Yeah.
So now we're really playing with time. Now we're really like, oh, okay, I didn't see this coming.
And see, that was the other thing that I questioned because, I mean, much later on, like Nebula, much like Cap, has to fight herself. Like that fight with Cap was really interesting. It was pretty dope. But when Nebula, Gamora, and Nebula from the future were head to head, like the Nebula from the past almost killed Gamora, and then it spurned Nebula to shoot herself in the past. Now, she directly shot herself in the past, killing herself, I'm assuming. But that doesn't affect her in present day, which I still, again, I mean, I don't understand.
No, but in
lot of it is because
in most time travel movies, doing that would kill yourself.
Exactly.
But they didn't do that because they established, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's the point that needs to be driven here is that our thoughts about how time travel works in the philosophy of other movies, all the movies that they name in this movie about how they thought time travel worked, it doesn't apply.
They all follow the same logic too.
And especially in Looper. Yeah, especially Looper.
And it's important that the Ancient One was the one to do it, the holder, the protector of the Time Stone. So she understands that. She's been around for a long time because of wielding that. So if anybody legit knows, it's her. So it almost becomes it is law. That's why that scene, as crazy as it started off with Bruce and the Hulk and her, it was legit. It might have been outside of Hank, outside of Scott Lang coming back out of the Conquer Realm. That scene alone might be the most significant dialogue in the entire movie. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know we're kind of running long on time here, so let's just talk about our reactions to the last scene real quick.
The fight scene.
I can solidify this. Any idea that I had, I'm gonna timestamp this about 2 years ago. In my head, I thought maybe you could throw the Defenders in this movie, right? That was in my head of what I thought could happen. After seeing the way the finale play out, I cannot see any of the Defenders in that final battle at all. And it's not the speed. It's not saying that the quality of the Netflix shows are shit or anything like that. It's just even in the comics, seeing a Daredevil in the Secret Invasion final battle, and that, I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all all read the Secret Invasion comic, but like seeing Daredevil swinging and going after Skrulls in that whole final battle, the chaotic nature of that battle, it throws you off. Like, what's Daredevil doing here? What can he do? Granted, yeah, he has kind of like superhuman powers to an extent within reason, but like, what's he doing? So Luke Cage at best because of his power set, but it's like I can't see those Defenders. So when you see the chaotic nature of like all the magicians backing up Wong, when you see all the Wakandans, you see the Asgardians, you see Valkyrie on the horse, the epic nature of everything that transpires is crazy. All the way down to the initial 3-on-1 fight with the Trinity versus fucking Thanos and stuff. It's ridiculous. But Thanos, it's crazy. Yeah. Down to Cap picking up the fucking hammer like that.
Yes.
Like that was the epic moment that made everybody go nuts because all the callbacks to like Cap and Thor when they did that move in Age of Ultron where they hit the hammer on the shield. He does that. It's callbacks to that. You know, they're doing every sort of team up combination you could think of.
Yeah. Also, too, just for the record, like whatever the heck Thanos' sword was made out of, I'm just gonna say animanium because that's the only thing I believe is strong with
vibranium, or it's out of space stuff. Because anything out of space is gonna, I mean, because vibranium is space meteor, so something from I could destroy it.
It's probably made of magic because the characteristics of how it was moving around. That has nothing to do with skill. Yeah, so we're just gonna say his double-edged sword was some magic from Soul Calibur or something like that. Because that thing was flinging around. Anyway, the whole point is because Cap shield got cracked again. So like, I had questions there, but we'll just say it was magic. That makes sense. Whatever. But the fight scene, man. I mean, it was on epic proportions. Everybody returned. They reversed it. The snap. And you got to see. It's just, I don't know. This is probably the hardest part to even talk about, even spoiler-wise, because you just got so much. It was just.
Dude, they put the women heroes front and center.
That's my part.
Like that's
my part for sure. Like,
I mean, they let Mantis do something for a hot second, which was cool. I was like, thank you. She did
also, something. How did I forget? I didn't write in my notes because I was so amped. I got OP Scarlet Witch finally. She got her ass on that battlefield and she kicked ass. She said, looked at Thanos and said, "You took everything away from me." And if it wasn't for, I don't know, he had his trump card. He was as good as gone. And that was everything I've always wanted with her, to see her just go full-blown kick-ass mode. But right after that,
saying, "I don't know you," though, was even more funny. He's like, "I don't know you. Who are you?" By the way, no Vision, which I thought was like that. They left the door open for their little show to see how does Vision come back. Which I
mean, Shuri's back, so there's that. That's how I looked at it.
Shuri sold out.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. But there was a moment where all the women of the MCU stood tall against Thanos, and it was super dope. And I think it pays homage to Marvel's Secret Warriors, which is a show on Disney XD and on their YouTube channel, which is all based on all of the female superheroes: Spider-Gwen and Squirrel Girl, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. And to see that on the MCU, basically with the characters that they have and stand up against the biggest threat ever. And I'm talking about the alignment scene where they all come into one place. Oh my God!
That was A-Force all the way, right there.
If that had been in the trailers, I would have lost my mind. That was cool.
You'll get that in TV spots. I'd say about 3 weeks from now.
True. So cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they really basically said, "Hey, females are going to be our focal point in the future. Here you go."
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I had to take a small step back for a second because the Avengers, they were all together, and Hulk did the sacrificial thing, the way he did, and then all of a sudden, like, the backdrop is, you find out something that Nebula did on the slide with Thanos, and you saw, Scott look outside, and all of a sudden, like, all the bombs just start to hit the Avenger base, and they just all get blown up. And it was kind of like the backdrop was like people are like legit about to drown. People are getting crushed, and like everybody's just trying to survive. And finally, the trio go out there and try to do work. But like the last person standing was Cap, and it was like he's going and doing what he can with the hammer, and he's going hand in hand. But then like there's this epic panned out shot, and it's just such a beautiful. I wish they had like a.
I need that as wallpaper. Easily.
That was my favorite shot of the movie.
He was like, I thought I was sitting waiting for him to say I can do this all day, but he's like, he got his freaking arm is gashed in, and all of a sudden, then out of all these bubbles, you start to see everybody coming in. And like it was just such a amazing and empowering moment when everybody showed up. I mean, to Chris's point, the only way I would have seen the Defenders even being in this movie at all is if the Chitauri or something was happening on Earth somewhere else, like in New York, and they kind of had to take care of the stuff on the ground level.
Just like the old 90s X-Men where they used to, or was it Spider-Man or whatever one it was, where they would have like one mate. It was X-Men because they were having the galactic battle, and then they'll show like the different other people like Spider-Man and all them. But that would have been, oh my God, I would have lost my mind.
And I mean, it's tough because now that you have the X-Men and Fantastic Four, if they had it somehow earlier before, I'm not no, because that's impossible because you have to establish the X-Men. So never mind. I mean, it's. Either which way, I mean, look, to go to Sam's point, that part where he just tightened the shield on his arm, that was like, oh shit, he's really ready to fucking go down with the ship. Like he's about to do it.
He's legit ready to die for everybody. And he's always been like that, but the difference is in this movie, both him and Tony are willing to do whatever it takes. And that is the theme of this. Like everybody was really willing to give up whatever they had to make sure that we got something out of this. And it was just kind of, and it was kind of just like y'all said, like, man, the battles, bro. I finally got to see my man Black Panther get some redemption. Like he was going, damn.
When he got that Infinity Gauntlet, I was like, yo, is he gonna put it? Is he gonna put it on just like in the comics? I'm like,
it was so many comic booky moments that I was like,
dude,
Giant
Man punched one of the Chitauri, the one of the enemy flying enemy just punched it without effort. Like that was crazy.
He stepped on one of whatchamacallits. I forgot what's the big guy's name.
He stepped on him like it was nothing. It was like, oh, boom, done.
Yeah, you're dead. Like it doesn't even matter. But I mean, even watching Guardian and Iron Man go back to back and like it was just so many different amazing moments. There's no way for us we'd have to legit watch the movie again and just focus on that and talk to y'all about it. We're not even gonna waste any time with it because at the end of the day, you know, they still were going back and forth for trying to stop Thanos. And then your girl Brie comes in and she comes in hard at Thanos. And like Thanos is like, who the heck are you?
Yeah, and he had that look like, oh, well, that's a wrap. Game blouses.
What was great about it is they subverted it by Thanos like, okay, and I didn't see it coming. He was like, fuck this, takes the power gem out and punches her. And I was like, well, that I didn't see that coming. That makes sense.
He still was willing to do whatever he had to do as well. Like it didn't matter what place and time he was, he still was the same Thanos. And it was like at a certain point, the moment which I know we're about to talk about, which is the hardest moment to talk about in this movie, was when Tony was already kind of like knocked down. And he looked over to Stephen Strange and Stephen said like this. And it goes back to what he said. He said to Peter and he said to Iron Man, like, I would gladly give you or the kid over because at the end of the day, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is protecting the stone. And it goes back to the sacrifice of we are in the end game. This is that one chance. And I was like, yo, all these different moments and theories that people have been having about Tony's arm, like he's always having his arm messed up and that like there's a reverberation from time. I was like, I can't believe this is really about to actually happen. And then when the way that they executed it, I think it was just brilliant. I was curious, what was y'all's thoughts on Tony's final moments? I guess that's the best way to put it.
It was a worthy sacrifice. They didn't skimp on like, oh, Tony's still alive, he'll get through it. It's like, no, he's dead. Like he's done. And it goes full circle. He literally tells Thanos, I am Iron Man, snap. Like he fulfilled it. And like you said before, Pepper kind of picked up on that. And it was like, she made her peace with the fact of that's Tony. And even what you said, Nigeria, with him talking to his dad, like his dad was like basically saying like, I don't want a son because he's going to end up like me.
Yeah, dang.
And he said, but he told him it will be all right. He says, you know, it's going to be good. Look, two things about this moment too. Iron Man is also the way he ended Iron Man 1. Mm-hmm. And I think not to take away from Iron Man's spot here, but I think every one of the original three had some moments of like resilience of all the things they've been through. Thor, Cap, and him. Obviously Thor welding Mjolnir. Yeah, Cap. And then Iron Man completely like holding the energy of the 5 stones. It's just, you know, along with him, did I say 5 stones?
6.
Excuse me. It just, you know, it just was so surreal that, you know, everything that we've been through in the journeys with him and everything we've been through in this movie, that he was the one to be the one to end it all. And he made Thanos feel every bit of hurt that everybody else had to do for. While Cap has always been the leader of the Avengers, Tony went out as the sacrificial leader and providing the snap, putting his body on the line, his perfect family that he had. He was just like, again, he was just so selfless. And you just seen throughout this whole movie just so much homage back to every little thing he's done in the past, to come full circle and do the right thing. So it was crazy.
I mean, and even you get to his funeral and you see who was all there and stuff, and like, you know, right down to the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And you forget that him and Tony had a connection where Tony was like, "We're connected," you know, because he saw that kid as kind of like a surrogate son for the most part. And it threw me off at first because when Scott sees them, the kid is looking at him like, "Who are you?" Whatever. And then when you see him later in the movie, it's like, "Is that the kid from Iron Man?" Wow. Okay, that's a deep cut. That's interesting. And I mean, look, they don't do crap on like that on purpose without a reason. So I think they're going to do something else with that kid, possibly. I mean, I guess we could talk about Cap in that exchange of the shield moment.
Oh man, yeah. Go ahead on, Nigel.
As always, the question was who was going to be the next successor of Captain America. And beyond the logical details how we got to this point, Falcon will be the one to be welding the shield, which Cap said is yours. Falcon said it felt like somebody else's, but he said no, it's yours. So the Falcon and Bucky show, who obviously Bucky was the also the other candidate for who would it be? Would it be his best friend? Would it be his mentee, shall we say?
Yeah.
And he went with Falcon, and as I don't think it's not a one-all say-all here, but it does. Again, it is the passing of the torch, and the shield is within good company and the right people to move forward with the Avengers. And I won't say this was a powerful moment. It was just the passing of the torch. A lot of homage to the comics, and a lot of something that a lot of us wanted to see. Mm-hmm. And I like how it was done, and I'm very excited for what moves forward with the two of them on the Disney Plus show.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be crazy. I mean, look, there's going to be some people big mad a little bit. We know who they are.
Big mad.
Oh, they're going to be big mad because they were expecting Bucky, and I'm like, this could be good. I mean, look, Anthony, if it goes the way it goes, especially with that. I mean, look, that Falcon Bucky show is going to be great.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, if Anthony Mackie does end up strapping on the Sam Wilson Captain America outfit, his stock is going to
Yeah.
And just like, and I like just as a side note, I like the makeup effects of Steve because that's what Captain America would look like if he actually didn't get frozen. Like, he would be an old guy, and in the comics, he's an old man, but he still has his super soldier strength, so he would look like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. You know, and Steve managed to live his life. Now this is just me. Did you feel as though they didn't necessarily imply that he married Peggy? Because that would kind of change up I'm not gonna say change up the future, but that would kind of put things in a different perspective in the present, so to speak.
No, they didn't say it. I mean, he asked he said, "Tell me about the girl," and they diverted from it. So
yeah, I mean, he has always alluded to that was what he wanted to do, that they were gonna get married and then they were gonna have a kid. Like, he alluded to that before, so I would just assume that would be the case.
It's a good point to take with this. Going in the quantum realm gives everybody second chances and things they wanted to do in the past. Although they can't change the future, they can go back and revisit things in the past. I mean, that opens up a realm of possibilities of tons of stuff. So
it's true. It's really true.
Yep. Cap had an overall mission, and then he had a personal mission, and he got to do what he needed. He did both.
And we've been seeing that personal mission since the end of First Avenger Captain America. Like, he always wanted to get back with Peggy. I mean, you think about when he sees her in Winter Soldier and she's old. Then you think back to Civil War when she's dying and he kind of low-key hooked up with Sharon for a short time, but he still was pining for Peggy and stuff. And Age of Ultron, he has that flashback to having his dance with Peggy and stuff. So he's even with that little minor detour with Sharon, he still wanted to get back with Peggy. That was his one goal, and mission accomplished. I mean,
yep.
Yeah, there is something that I thought was a really interesting detail. It goes off as a joke, but when Bruce Banner was initially working with Scott Lang with time travel, like he started to make him age, then de-age, then age again. That gives Cap a way of de-aging.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like he could easily do the same exact thing to himself if they really needed him. If they go the comic booky side, I guess that's the best way to put it. I don't want to go down that road because that's a long train stuff.
That's the open thing. But I mean, like I said, we got the hologram Tony, which I thought was a nice little touch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Thor is with the Guardians, and we get that's where he's at right now. And I think that made sense in the logical aspect of it and stuff because now the search is on for Gamora. She's in play now. So it's. Yeah, I mean, this is everybody had a logical kind of conclusion of where we're going. They even segue for Hawkeye and where he's going to
go. Wait. So hold on, I'm so lost now. So Thanos, Gamora, and previous Nebula went into the future, 9 years into the future. So this is a whole different Gamora.
Yep. One that Nebula told, hey, this is the guy you hook up with. So she knows. So,
So I'm saying, I go back to, so that means that in their reality or wherever they came from, there is no Thanos anymore. There's no Gamora, there's no Nebula. Or it doesn't matter. I guess the relevance of it doesn't matter because once it's changed, it doesn't change. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to go this rabbit hole.
But everything, and let's be real about this. People forget that kind of sets up Guardians 3 now.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfectly.
Yep.
It sets it up because now again we're in the great unknown now with Phase 4. We don't know what the hell is going to happen. We don't know how much of an aspect Thor is going to play in Guardians 3 if he does play a part.
Yeah.
Like I said, Far From Home, we don't know other than, and I still theorize that Peter is going to be feeling the effects of this because, when he's going back to school at the end of this movie, he sees his boy, and even though Peter's still high-fiving it, there's that feeling in him like, yo, I just lost his father figure.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that?
Mm-hmm.
How does he deal with that, considering that he already dealt with it with Uncle Ben?
That's two people, two father figures. That's
the double whammy there. Wonder. And again, in Spider-Man, we've always seen the high tone, happy-go-lucky young guy. But
this hides the sadness now.
Yeah, this is different. So I wonder how that plays a part. That is interesting, right?
And that plays into the trailer from Far From Home because remember Peter was like, "No, I'm not taking the suit.
Yeah,
I'm going on vacation," and then I think that's playing into like, no, I want to go on vacation. I need to decompress from all this shit that I've been through.
Yeah.
Like I got to. That's the only way. And now that Fury has him recruiting, now we know where he got the suit. All this is starting to come together. But again, we don't know how that's going to end because, like I said, we had a press screener. We didn't get a post-credit scene with this film at all.
Yeah. And some people have gone on record and saying there's absolutely no post-credit scene. We can't prove or deny that. We just know
they did say the premiere and this one today didn't get one, but they did say there is one for it when it premieres. So we'll see.
Yeah.
UK gets a premiere as we're speaking right now.
It doesn't matter. I'm when I see it again, I'm still sitting down till it's over.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
That's how they trained us and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they I think we pretty much spoiled as much as we possibly could.
Yeah, it's definitely good to release a lot of that stored up information for day. We have to do it again. And let's get some closing thoughts for this.
Yeah, I've got one before I kind of leave my thoughts on the line. I think that it would be beautiful symmetry if Steve kind of helped mentor Peter through his circumstance because he's gotten it from Tony, but he hasn't gotten the other side of that, the war side of it, the war-ridden side, the man without time side. And I think it'd be really interesting to see Cap really kind of give him some advice moving forward on how to be the best Spider-Man he really can be. But as far as the film is concerned, I think the film's great. I didn't have any issues with it. In my head, I can't quantify where I place it at as far as MCU films. It's definitely in the top tier. It's one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. And at the same exact time, there are things that I can nitpick about. There's things I want to bring more light to and talk about later. But you got to go and see it, and you got to go see it again, because I feel like we didn't cover everything. There's so many other facets of stuff that we're going to be talking about this probably years down the line as being one of the best part 1 and part 2 films ever, honestly. Like when you think about both Infinity War and this, like, it's just amazing masterpiece ultimately. And so I'm thankful for what Marvel did, Russo's did, and for Disney allowing this tone to go this far. Because I never thought they would even take the chance on one doing the snap, let alone killing one of the most beloved and amazing characters that they've ever created. It started with Iron Man. It started with Tony Stark. It started with Robert Downey Jr. So it was an amazing send-off, and it was a great film.
Yeah, it's definitely a great film. Probably one of my top. I mean, it definitely shuffles out my top 5 Marvel movies and stuff. Like I said, they were able to tell the story, and like I said, they maximized the 3 hours to the fullest extent they can do, and all the history of the MCU tying all. Like I said again, they made me care for Thor: Dark World, like that. And I mean, we didn't harp on it, but like that talk that Thor had with his mom, he needed that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. And his mom was like, "I know you're from the future. I've been with witches and stuff. Like, come on." And he needed that chat with his mom, and I felt that was great for him to kind of get over. Like, all right, I failed, but I can do better, Pat. I can learn from this failure and do better. And I thought that was a good way to kind of like get Thor, his character progression and stuff, of realizing that, hey, I don't have to be king of Asgard if I don't want to. I can, I have a greater purpose other than what people say that I should be doing.
Yeah.
So I felt like overall the movie did a great job of kind of bookending a lot of the characters and stuff, and kind of positioning themselves in the future of other characters and stuff. Kind of moving forward and such. So, it's definitely, like I say, top 5 Marvel movie, great movie, definitely a must see. That's about it on my end.
Look, I just can't wait to see it again Thursday. There was so much to take on. I truly appreciated it. It's so surreal to being able to see it early, or just being around to see it. Period, because it's been 11 years in the making, and like, I just like. For all the storytelling, the characters we got to see on the big screen after all these years, and to see it come down to this point it's so surreal. So definitely shuffles the top 5. But this is beyond the rating. It's just everything that you wanted in a comic book movie. You got it. Fear not, it is there. I saw some bad ratings. I guess people were being hype beasts on Rotten Tomatoes. Who cares? If you live and die by that. It was amazing. It was amazing. I can't wait to see it again.
Oh yeah, I mean this is look, this movie is going to break records. It is. I don't see how it can't. So,
and we didn't even see it in IMAX 3D, you guys. So I can't even imagine.
I didn't even think of that.
That finale is going to be ridiculous.
Oh my god!
The whole fight is supposed to be shot in IMAX. The whole entire fight. The end fight is IMAX, so
can't wait.
Yeah. So
all right, let's sign off. We went a little bit long, so everybody plug your stuff. Obviously, we'll have it in each of our descriptions, but y'all want to jump in and just verbally plugging your stuff.
Like I said, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/3blackgeeks. Like I said, I did a non-spoiler review with these guys, and also did an audio non-spoiler with our boy DJ Sue. He's back.
Welcome back, Eric.
Gonna do a audio spoiler with a lot of other people on that one. Like I said, on the other one, this is going to be interesting. The fact we got like multiple different spoiler ones and stuff floating around, but I'm fine with that. That works because you get different perspectives on everything and stuff. So if you listen to the audio one, it'll probably be less of me talking and more of everybody else kind of talking and stuff. Since I got, to be honest with you, I needed to talk about this now because
I did too.
It needed to come out. It needed to. If it was any other movie, I can hang back on it for a minute, but this is like you got to like get it out there now.
Yeah.
Talk about it. But yeah, you can find like I said, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/3blackgeeks. We're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can find us anywhere and stuff. And yeah, that's at least it for our outlet.
Right on. Sam?
Yeah, definitely check us out on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/SEL0320 or just type in JVS. We got a website, teamjvs.com. We got a lot of content coming. I mean, we've already got our non-spoiler review, reaction up, and definitely going to try to do another spoiler discussion as well. Game of Thrones coming out this Sunday, Cloak and Dagger, and Gotham on Thursday. Nigeria, me, and a couple others going to be holding it down for AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C. So this is a lot of content. And I guess I'll officially announce this up here. I'm going to be officially posting up my second feature film. This is going to be a short film. I'm going to be posting this up tonight. So definitely go and check that out on YouTube.
Right on. Obviously, you know us. We're at BigGoBellGroup.com. Get all your professional wrestling news, updates, podcasts, weekly podcasts, some nerd stuff like Sam said, comic book, comic coverage, movie reviews, and all that good stuff. A lot of collaboration, a lot of these good folks and stuff too. So yeah, spoiler review. Hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned because we got to do this again. We're all seeing it again, so I know different things are going to come about. So I appreciate you guys listening. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace, y'all.